Okay, we're back at the round table and we're talking now about the impact of Budget 2013 on corporates, especially SMEs. Expectations were very high coming into the budget. SMEs are dealing with labour crunch, high operating costs. How did you see Budget 2013 panning out for them?
Well, I thought that the SMEs' pressure was basically either to shape up or to ship out of Singapore. So I thought that this time around the budget was very interesting because they focused a lot of the schemes and incentives on basically helping SMEs to shape up, meaning that the technology transfer, the collaboration with some of the research centres and some of the leaders in the industry, basically getting the tie-in from polytechnic and IT students to basically make up for the shortfall that they're going to face on the foreign worker side. So I think that to a certain extent shows the seriousness of the policy intent to basically help SMEs move up the value chain and also to economically restructure and to higher value-added activities.
But that will take a while, right?
I think, while productivity is a long-drawn game, we could see the political will by government, and I think businesses are not rejecting that. Businesses also understand the need to actually transform and try to restructure it to be more productive. I think the issue is about the current two wishes that they have. Rising business costs, that erodes their margin a lot. Some are bleeding, some are not surviving. The second part is inavailability of workforce. And so in this case, I think they are asking for assistance in here. We do see within this budget, I think almost like a centerpiece, $3.6 billion being put into this thing called a workfare credit scheme. Therefore, with their government will actually co-share the 40% of their increment for the lower wage. I think that's a welcome move that we actually put in beyond rhetoric to say, businesses, I think you are not being a good corporate citizen. Please raise your lower wage. You guys are exploiting the lower tier, etc. I think there are now real incentives. There are now real ability to actually equip companies to try to improve the lower hierarchy of workers.
On a business cost issue, there was a lack on the real estate aspect of helping SMEs control their real estate costs. There wasn't any measures on industrial or commercial properties, and as a result of that, you might see with the curb in the residential sectors, you might see more money flowing into the industrial and commercial space. And I thought there was also a lack of details on helping SMEs to expand into neighbouring countries or regionally.
Do you think there will be disappointment that the government further tightened the constraints on foreign manpower?
I think businesses are already resigned to this situation. It's not a question of disappointment anymore, because we've been shouting at the top of our voice for the last 1.5 to 2 years, especially post-election. But, they are very firm on the fact that, it's a no U-turn situation, and they are very adamant on how they want to reshape the economic framework, the labour framework. I think we're way past that point, and we have to look forward to see how we can make the best use of the current situation, the current schemes, and remold our own businesses going forward.
Yeah, I suppose further details could be shared on how they're going to do it. While there's a 5% reduction in the foreign workers across the board, S passes and also more stringent EP passes, I think that's the part where there could be cross-deployment, flexible deployment of workers, allow them multitasking. That part of the details not being announced yet. I suppose Ministry of Manpower is working on it. If that could be liberated, I think that's where, even using the same number of workers or less than 5%, you can actually have a lot more productivity, and you can unlock it within the enterprise-wide.
I think this idea of increasing productivity, especially in the lower rung of the labour market, it's going to be easier said than done. Even in the F&B industry or the services industry, our SMEs are not third-rate SMEs. They are SMEs that have invested in productivity and more efficient processes or ways of conducting their business. So there is realistically, I think, on the ground, in practical terms, a limit to how much more you can improve. And maybe the government at some point will have to accept some reality in these sectors and give them a bit more breathing space, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, there's a maximum efficiency a company can achieve or a certain sector can achieve. So what's next to improve wages is really looking at value creation of the company, how you can improve your products, improve your services so you can sell them for higher price, and then your profitability of the company will grow, and then that's where you can pay your workers more wages. But I think the wage subsidies given by the government to Singaporean employees will hope to achieve is to encourage more Singaporean workers to undertake jobs that previously they shunned. and to want to take up. And hopefully it will encourage those retirees or those people to come out of their and enjoy the workforce.
On the more stringent qualifier of the employment passes and as passes that comes in, I think while a lot of them actually think that it's SMEs who are most impacted, I think this part we understand for MNCs too, and also the foreign direct investment. They do see this constraint here, and therefore what will happen is our past few decades of foreign direct investment attraction point will then be, I think, eroded in this case. And we also have a lot more economies of competing for the same FDIs. And I think in here, if we do not do it too well, or the way how our qualifiers become overly onerous or restrictive, the FDIs will not come here, or maybe some of the bigger guys will moved off. And SMEs here are all subcontractors of this MNC. They may be further impacted as well.
I noticed there was hardly anything for MNCs.
Yeah.
I think even the corporate tax rebate was capped at 30,000. So, that's a drop in the ocean for MNCs. Do you think they'll be disappointed by this?
To look at things in perspective, for the past few budgets, a lot of focus have been on the MNCs. Then there are also grievances or wishes that SMEs said that we must create a level playing field for our own guys at our home ground. So I think that's why this year budget, deliberately, I think the focus is on the SMEs, helping our local boys to grow so that they can compete internationally.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for your time, for coming down to the Straits Times to share your views live as the budget was unfolding. For more on the budget, follow the Straits Times in print, on mobile, and online.